Seaside start to fill the air. Then someone shouts out excitedly,
Look over there, everybody! I can see the sea!
Seaside, we're off to Seaside. Buckets and spades, all the fairground arcade. Seaside, we're off to the seaside. We're gonna have a lovely day. When it's cold in winter time, still you can't be there anytime. Just close your eyes, count 1, 2, 3. Dream your dream and once again be by the sea. Miss Ella and friends arrive to greet the train. She is so pleased that Tillie's right on time. So much excitement, so much glee. We're all together with Tillie by the sea. Seaside, we're all at the seaside. Building sand castles with buckets and spades. Seaside, we're all at the seaside. Oh, what a lovely, lovely day. Seaside, we're all at the seaside. Picnics and paddling, swimming all day. Seaside, we're all at the seaside. Oh, what a lovely, lovely day. Thank you, Tillie, for such a lovely day.
Mike was cross. The thin controller had assigned him to ballast duties for being naughty, and Mike hated being stuck at the mines all day. He found it rather boring. One morning, Mike arrived at Chipperton Wharf with a loaded train of ballast. He saw Duncan, who was getting his train loaded. "Morning, Mike. What's up?" "I feel overworked. That's what's up," huffed Mike. "I've been going up and down the line all day, stuck with the ballast trains, and all because I burst a safety valve and started an elderly woman." Duncan pondered for a moment. "You know, if I was on your wheels, I would have probably taken a break up on the coast at Birmingham. You know, have the ocean breeze in your face. Your line does run up there after all." And with that, Duncan set off for the quarry. This gave Mike an idea. All that week, Mike tried everything to sneak off to Birmingham. He tried to sneak ballast cars and lumber cars out as a construction delivery. He tried to run off light engine on his own and even begged the yard manager to let him go there. At last, he finally got a job on the resort end of the line, but not the one he had hoped for.
An express train needs to be arranged at the Swahili Water Park Resort for a group of tourists. I need you to bring them some coaches, so they have enough for the train to carry them.
"Yes, sir," said Mike, but he had a plan. Mike knew of one carriage that had a faulty coupler pin on it, so he coupled that to the front of his train. As he trundled out with 5 heavy covered carriages, he felt the pin push against him as he went downhill. "Not yet," he said. "We've got to wait until we reach the resort." As he approached the resort station, Scott the express tank engine was waiting for Mike's extra coaches. As he pulled into the platform, he put his plan into motion. With the pin loosened enough, left on the platform were the carriages for the train, and off went Mike. "What the?" said Scott.
Slow down, Mike,
said his driver.
"We just passed by the station."
But Mike wasn't listening. He was bolting it to the Burmaburg coast. Stations and shunting yards flashed by as his driver fought for control of the regulator. At the big station in Burmaburg, there were a pair of buffers on the other side of the turntable, just at the tail end of the shunting yards. Mike was still not paying any attention until he saw the buffers. Then everything happened at once. Mike found himself standing on the sand instead of the rails with the remains of the buffers behind him.
"Don't worry, Mike,"
called out his driver.
"I'll go phone for help."
Mike sighed. There had been a break, but not the one he had hoped for. Back at the Swahili Water Park Resort, Scott was still confused about what had happened as he backed down onto his coaches. Suddenly, he heard a blast of whistles and the clattering of equipment as Rashira and Grace the Crane roared past. "Clear the tracks!" shouted Rashira. "Derailed engine at Burmaburg Beach!" "Oh, mind your speed!" called Grace. "My gears are rattling!" As Mike was lifted back onto the rails by Rashira and Grace, he saw that Rex and Bert were also there. They'd come to help repair the tracks and buffers beyond the turntable.
"Hell, Mike, you said you wanted a break from all the work you've been getting, but we never thought you would have it this way,"
finished Bert. "Well, if I must admit, it was all right," said Mike. "But I didn't think the only break that happened would be to a pair of buffers." The 3 engines laughed in agreement.
Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Shut up! You're not the only one in this highway, pal. Who do you think you are anyway, Sir Topham Hat? Oh, you are. Carry on then. Need a cheese or flake? Why not? Hey, yo, Grumpyman, turn that off.
Crooked cucumbers. They've been playing the same song every 20 minutes. It'd be easier if someone didn't jam a CD in my 8-track player.
I thought it would fit.
Hey, Mr. G. 1965 called. They want their old junk back.
Look, it may be vintage, but it's serviceable. Certainly more so than those laser discs or whatever high-tech garbage you kids are using these days.
I gotta agree with Meg. I'm 2,000 years old, and that thing is pretty dated.
No one ever complained about my stuff before.
Oh, these mountains are gonna be perfect! There's restaurants and parks and waterfalls and...
Not to mention the resort itself. Wave pools and lazy rivers and a ropes course.
This vacation's gonna be great! Sleeping out under the stars, roasting some marshmallows.
Homestar, this isn't a camping trip. It's a business trip.
But I have all these marshmallows. Why didn't you tell me earlier?
I told you at least 12 times.
Well, I'm just glad to spend the weekend not cleaning soot out of a clanking steamer smokestack. What kind of convention we going to again?
I told you, this is a very important convention for the railway... What? Thank you. Mr. Grumpy, Station Master of Selgrub Central speaking, currently on vacation, so if you could kindly...
That you? Oh, thank heaven, I've been trying to reach you for hours. I got the rooms checked in and everything for us, but I've been hoping you guys would be here by now. I prepared a wonderful luncheon of sandwiches and fries in the sweet...
Hey, yo, Duckman! If this was so important, why didn't you just drive us over? I mean, you're the head of the freakin' railway board. Don't you got like a party bus or something?
Well, actually, after that whole accident with Gordon, Montana, and Farnsworth, I had to cover some of the budget cuts.
Hey, look! The traffic is moving.
Oh, whoa!
Alright, thank the God, let's get out of here.
Oh, there he goes. Like a football across the 50-yard line.
No, it's okay. I'm all right, guys. Don't everybody help at once.
Oh, of course it goes out now. Oh, what was that, the tire? Oh, come on.
So, is it a bad time to say that I sold a spare tile for these marshmallows?
I should have taken Jimmy's offer and doing this.
This feels weird.
Stew is a very efficient engine. Being the dockmaster's diesel of Groflin Harbour, he always works to make sure the docks are tick-tock and on the clock. Unfortunately, this attitude does have a tendency to cause some, problems. One night, as the Seaside locomotives were cooling their fireboxes and engines, Skipper Stew was rolling into the roundhouse. The engines were surprised. "What are you doing here tonight, Skip?" asked Oliver. "Passenger detail. The Seaside Rail Co. scheduled a test run for our new express passenger service for tomorrow, but the new engine she bought hasn't arrived yet, so I, of all engines, am to take the train tomorrow." "That sounds lovely," said Emma. "Not when you're the dockmaster's diesel. I feel like I should stay here and keep things running." "But we all help to do that," said Jones the Steam, "even whilst we have engines out of action. Like how I'm taking care of the containers while Russ is on holiday," said Gripper the Crane. "Suppose you've got a point," said Skipper Stew. "In that case, I'll keep this passenger run on the clock." And with that, he went straight to sleep. Next morning, however, showed that not everything would be on the clock. Skipper Stu, keeping in proper Navy fashion, woke himself up well before dawn. Unfortunately, the ship was still far out at sea by the time he got there. Trains came in and out of the terminal, and buses put-putted in and out for a good hour while he was waiting. At last, the big cruise ship carrying his passengers finally arrived and quickly boarded his coaches. Stu's train would only stop at the harbour stations, so the coaches were special for the long trip. There was a break coach, a luggage van, a sleeper, a diner, and a lounge, all coupled together for the long journey. At last, everyone was on board, and Skipper Stu was ready to go. "Tick-tock, we're on the clock, off we go, lads," he called out, but the coaches weren't ready. "The conductor's not ready! The conductor's not ready!" they called out, but it was no use. Skipper Stu was moving. Had he not been flagged down, he would have left the luggage van and the break coach behind. Skipper Stu felt very embarrassed. All the way to their first stop in Groflin, it seemed like nothing went right. Because they were late, they were switched off on a loop siding to let Yamon hurry past with some freight cars. Then, he ran into trouble with Donald at the salt mines. And to make things worse, the inclines proved very troublesome for Skipper Stu, causing the coaches to rock about and give the passengers an unpleasant experience. Passengers trying to sleep were given an unwanted massage. Hotcakes and bagels flew across the diner, and passengers trying to take pictures were given blurry results. At last, they made it to their first stop. The grumbling passengers boarding the mainline connections and ferry boats at the dock got off, and some new passengers got in. Harry and Hamish, the express freight diesels, were surprised to see their boss worn out and stressed. "Oh, how do engines manage this? I've run this train to time, and I've run into nothing but trouble." "Well, we're not experts on the matter," said Harry, "but passenger trains aren't like freight," said Hamish. "They're right, you know," said a voice. It was Olwen, who'd been hauling Isabel and Dulcie while Oliver was working at the salt mines. "Passengers are not meant to be treated like soldiers, and coaches aren't meant to be treated like cars. You need to be gentle, smooth, and above all, relaxed." "So, don't order them on board?" "Correct." "And don't rock them about?" "Correct. Just be relaxed and keep steady." Just then, the conductor blew his whistle. "All aboard!" he called out as Skipper Stu tooted to say, "All clear." And now, knowing that the passengers and luggage were safely aboard, he started off. The ride up to Crotoonia Bay was much smoother. Skipper Stu didn't run into any loop sidings or jerk about on inclines. He just hauled his way up quickly but steadily. The passengers could sleep comfortably in the sleeper. The diners could enjoy their lunches of hot hamburgers, sandwiches, wraps, and soft drinks. And sightseers could take in the beauty of the Crotoonian coast. And when they arrived at the harbour, Skipper Stu waited patiently for the passengers to reboard his coaches. Then, they all travelled down the same route home, stopping at each stop without fail. Finally, he made his last stop late into the night. His passengers boarded the final cruise ship bound for the mainland, and the express coaches were shunted away to the yards. "Well done," said Dockmaster Eric. "I heard you improved a great deal after what happened this morning, and the express has been a great success. Therefore, I am proud to say..." "Thank you, good Eric," interrupted Stu. "But I do have my Dockmaster's duties to fill." "Oh, I wasn't going to have you take over." "Then, what were you going to say?" "But I must stop here, I'm afraid, or I'm going to spoil the next story."
Welcome to Crotoonian Shoots, the program in which we see the railways of Crotoonia in all of its raw wonder. Today, we'll be visiting the little engines down in Conifton Valley.
One morning, Sasha the little local puller engine was at the Seaside roundhouse. She noticed Emma turning around to go to Selgra Bay instead of Gridania Bay.
Where are you going? Don't you have something to do?
Not yet. Dockmaster Noisy wants me to welcome the newcomer.
There is a newcomer?
There was. A new engine had arrived to Crotoonia. Her name was Audrey, and she was quite a different engine compared to many of the other Crotoonians. She had a big, bulky buffer beam, smart dark blue paintwork, and a big, sturdy tender. She was about to go on her maiden voyage, and a large group of engines were there to welcome the new engine to the crew, with the newly christened Seaside Soarer.
Hello, welcome to our railway. Let me know if you need anything shunted. How much coal can your tender carry?
But Audrey was very quiet. She didn't seem to care much about the questions and comments. As Sasha arrived backwards, Audrey's first train set off for Grufflin Harbor. Sasha saw the powerful engine roar out of the docks. She was impressed by how strong she was and how long and fancy her new carriages were. But then she remembered. She was a very small train, with very small carriages that had to load outside the platform. It made Sasha feel very lowly indeed. Sasha's job was to pull the Loco, a small passenger train that stopped at every station to drop off all kinds of passengers and workers. Captains to Selgra Bay docks, miners and crane operators to Bartlett Bay, tourists to Grufflin Harbor, beachgoers to Coast View Junction, and workers to Gridania Bay Junction. The days were long and busy for the little engine, but she loved looking at all the different things on her route. Cliffs covered in moss, waves rippling along the coastline, trees standing proud and strong on their perches, and small seaside towns busily going about their days. But whenever Audrey passed by, roaring with her carriages and important passengers in tow, it always made her feel silly.
I look at the scenery, making my passengers late, while Audrey is fast and on time.
Later that day, as she was on her way back, she ran down the little line on the cliffs of the salt mines, where she found a very shocking sight. There, blowing steam from what looked like every cylinder of her boiler, was Audrey.
Are you alright, Audrey?
Asked Sasha. Well, started Audrey in a very flat voice. Pistons are pumping, water pressure's good. Steam pressure, not so much. I do need to get these passengers moving again, though. They're catching a ship to Britain at Croflin Harbor. Then, Sasha got an idea.
I can take your passengers to the docks. That's my next stop with my train. Oh, but my carriages aren't fancy and glamorous. They don't have dining bars or sleeper beds. Just plain old seats and luggage racks.
Well, do you get your passengers to their places on time?
Well, not all the time. Sometimes the scenery takes away my focus and...
I mean, I don't blame you, said Audrey, to the shock of Sasha. This railway's got some pretty looking scenery. But the point is, if you're steaming and you got coaches, you're good. You got this, little bud. With that, Sasha had found confidence she'd never had before. Whistling,
"Peep, peep! Get in quickly, please!"
Audrey's passengers for Croflin climbed into her carriages, and the little engine set off for the docks. Sasha's carriages were heavier than usual, but she was determined to make it to the docks on time before the ship left for Britain. Her funnel was firing smoke and steam like never before. Her pistons rattled as she built up steam, and she was moving so much past her usual top speed that a local fisherman lost his hat to the sea, where a whale found it a fine new addition to its Sunday best. Finally, the little engine reached the docks, just in time for the ship to collect its last load of passengers. Then, Sasha hurried over to Skipper Stu.
"We've got an emergency! Audrey's broken down near the salt mines. We need the breakdown gang and dock as soon as possible."
"Leave it to me," said Skipper Stu. Doc and the workmen carefully examined Audrey, whose steam had dampened down quite a bit from earlier. Duck had already taken her carriages away, and Sasha had let Oliver take the last of her passengers home to bring over tools to mend her.
"Well, you're very lucky, Audrey," said Doc.
"You just had a tad too much pressure built up in your pistons. Common issue with a new build." "Thanks, Doc. But you know, I'd have been a bigger goner without Sasha. She was the real hero of this situation. If she hadn't run so gallantly, a lot of people would have missed their boat. Wish I had the same control you seem to with all of those hills, I tell you." Sasha couldn't help but blush a little. It made her feel bigger and stronger than she thought she was. Audrey and Sasha are now firm friends. Audrey sometimes asks Sasha for help, but sometimes has to remind Sasha not to keep comparing herself to her. She's an amazing engine, just the way she is.
Welcome to Crotoonian Shoots, the program in which we see the railways of Crotoonia in all of its raw wonder. Grab your tickets, because today you'll be taking a ride on the Cliffstone Mountain Main Line.
Hear them roar, watch them soar. Sit right down and see. There are stories to enjoy for every girl and boy. Mighty machines, big and mighty machines, working for you, doing mighty things there. Mighty machines, working for you, doing mighty things there. Mighty machines.
Megara is a reporter for the Crotoonian Gazette, the national newspaper for the whole of Crotoonia. This means that she often goes out and about looking around Crotoonia to write about events going on. And on this particular day, she was off to Crofton Harbor to cover a very exciting event. Morning, Meg.
Morning, Scrooge.
How's life in the city?
Oh, same old, same old. When you've got a demigod for a husband, cruise ship rescues just on the docks within the week, express train rescues the month before, and a runaway freight train tale just a few days ago, life's never that boring.
You never fail to bring a laugh. All set for today's scoop.
Oh, you know it. When you hear a queen's coming to Crotoonia, it's always a big scoop to catch.
All clear for departure?
Fire away, hotshot.
At Crofton Harbor, there was energy in the sea air as Skipper Stu began the working day for the other engines. Wakey, wakey, lads! It's a big day for the harbor!
Couldn't you have given us a few more minutes there, Skip?
Oh, not today, Montague. The Queen is coming, and we've got a tight schedule to run.
Morning, lads! Sorry we're late. We've had an early start. Hi! 4 a.m. freights got sent out to make sure everything got sent on time.
Indeed, especially when old Gloucester needs her cargo out pronto. How you doing over there?
I'm all set for loading, pals. Just give me a shout when you're ready.
Stupendous, Gloucester. Right then, I'll have to give you jobs for the day fast. I've got a quick meeting at Selgrave Harbour before the docking. Duck and Yeoman, collect your coaches for passenger detail. Emma, today you're shunting at Virginia Bay docks. Get going, will you? Harry and Hamish, help the twins with the express freight. Russ, you're cleaning up the container yard today. And as for you, Charlie, you've got a special.
Wow! A special?
Why, yes. You'll be in charge of cleaning up the ferry terminal and ensuring all the engines get to their proper lines when they arrive. There's going to be plenty today, so I want you to make sure the ferry terminal is still under order when I get back. I'm counting on you, Charlie.
Sure thing! Wait, which queen is...
See you in a few, Charlie.
Have a great day, everyone. Let me know how it goes.
Well, off to the grind!
Meanwhile, out on the main line, Olwen was chugging along happily pulling a freight train to Virginia Bay, when Spencer came puffing down the line.
Morning, slow coach!
Oh, good morning, Spencer. Off to meet the Queen, I'm guessing.
Indeed, I am. They're only allowing the finest to come to the arrival of her liner, after all.
Well, I think I'm very fine, too. I'm a Gresley design like you know.
I'm pretty sure Gresley didn't throw a bunker and saddle tank onto a tender engine's design.
So, what do you and Hercules get up to when you're not bogged down with work?
Oh, fair bit. Walks around the park, swimming at Ariel's beach, the occasional social gathering at home. But just being with him's always nice. Such a sweet big old lug.
But reporting's just as fun, eh?
In a way. Nothing like a healthy dose of adventure to keep a couple running. Herc had some teaching to do in the States, so he wasn't able to pop up today. Though, it can be a little lonely at times, with not many people to talk to on some occasions. In any case, I'm sure Ariel will be there too. What in the holy name of Hera was that?
Bless me bagpipes! Hang on, it's going to be a bumpy ride ahead!
I'll surely beat you this time!
Oh, certainly not. I'm more modern than you.
Uh-oh.
Thanks for the fast load up. See you next week, fellas.
Morning, little Charlie. Morning, Russ.
Morning, Gordon. boy, you seem happy today.
Wouldn't you be if you had some of the most important people in the whole of Crotoonia on your express?
Like Lunette the Clown or Charlie Chalk, perhaps?
Morning, Gordon! I'm the rail company's representative today. I've brought Mrs. Ella to see the visitors.
Oh, that's great, Tillie! Oh, that reminds me, you'll be parked on track 5, and Gordon, you're going to be on track 6 with Sir Reginald.
Thank you, Charlie.
You're welcome. Oh, morning, Harrison.
What the?
The heck was all that about?
Had a little race for the way up, and I think I broke my suspension springs.
Well, blow me down! How are we going to get to the docks now?
Hold on, I've got an idea.
Back at Grufflin Harbor, the arrival of the ship was coming closer and closer, while Charlie's cool was getting smaller and smaller.
Whoa! Mind your tracks!
You okay, little fella?
Surely, sure. Yeah, sure thing. Just gotta clear the yards and get the tracks tidied and guide the visitors in and make sure things are shipshape for Skipper when he comes back and Charlie. Yeah, Russ? It's okay to ask for help, you know. Huh? What do you mean? Well, but Skipper wanted me to do this job myself. I mean, I've worked in the docks hard enough for a big chance like this.
But it's all right to get a little help in times like these.
Yeah, that's what friends are for.
You're probably right. Thanks, guys. Okay, I'll take care of guiding the engines in while Harry and Hamish shift the goods to the yards right here.
On it.
Russ, you sort out the deliveries coming into the warehouse. No problem.
Any sign of anyone yet?
Yes, we got one. Hey, Olwen, over here. Engine down, engine down.
We need help.
Oh my, Spencer, whatever happened to you?
Knocked up my suspension springs. My crew's already radioed the works for a pickup, but now my VIPs will be late for the Queen's arrival.
Well, you're in luck then. I'm on the way to the docks myself. I'm delivering this load of supplies for the ferry terminal and picking up the Queen and her guests.
You? A VIP engine?
I wasn't just made for freight work, you know.
All right, you two. Enough chit-chat. Time to get this show back on the road. Olwen, off to the docks.
Get well soon, Spencer.
I hope so.
Meg got to the docks just before the docking could even start. When the liner did arrive, however, it was a wonderful sight. The crowd roared as the ship was guided into the terminal.
What a godly sight. Haven't seen a celebration this wild since Dionysus got invited to last year's New Year's party.
Whoa, Skipper! I hope you didn't mind that.
Don't panic, Charlie. Russ and the twins told me everything. You did a good job on your first leadership job on the harbor. And you did a brave thing too. Something that requires a great deal more courage.
What's that?
You let your friends help out with a big job.
Thanks a bunch, Skip. Oh, by the way, I didn't get a chance to know or ask with all the work these past few days, but which Queen is arriving?
Engines and cranes! It is the pleasure of the Grufflin Harbor Ferry Terminal Crew to welcome to the country of Crotoonia for the very first time, Queen of the Frederator, the royal family!
All that hype for some ice queen?
Well, she is pretty famous.
I suppose so, but, you know, I was expecting someone fancier, like a Spanish queen, or a French queen, or a Dairy Queen.
She has ice powers, Strong Bad. How many queens do you know that have ice powers?
Well, I don't know any queens.
Scrooge McDuck. A pleasure to meet you again.
You know them, Scrooge?
Well, when you're a business magnate like me, you've got to have your odd connection to two.
Oh my gosh, are you the Megara?
Huh?
The wife of Hercules, by any odd chance?
How do you know me?
We have a copy of your fantastic story on the Daisy Cruiser rescue on the ship. And we heard from our friends about your fantastic adventures with the legendary Hercules.
Well, perhaps I am that Megara. Scrooge, would you mind?
Not a problem.
Wow! What was it like during the big rescue?
Well, it was quite an adventure, really. There was a commotion out at sea, and everyone was worried down at the dockyard. And then I got a shot.
And so that day, there were quite a few headliners off and on the front page. Charlie had handled his first big job in the harbor, Spencer was left out of the party, Olwen served as a royal engine, and Meg had not only had a great story, but had ended up making some great new friends. Well, that didn't come out too late, did it? Welcome to Crotoonian Shoots, the program in which we see the railways of Crotoonia in all of its raw wonder. Get your finest climbing gear, because today we'll be exploring the workings of the Cliffstone Mountains.
Scott, am I glad to see you? Can you help out with something at the nature reserve? We have a situation at the rhino habitat.
Sure thing, Matumbo. I've got about half an hour till my return trip home, so I'll help out.
Oh, thank you. And do be careful.
I know, don't worry. Rhinos can be very aggressive. What in the blooming world could have done?
Let me in, 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 let me in!
Strong bad? What's going on?
I'm boring!
What in the blazes did you do?
Well, I was tidying the habitats and kicked a bunch of rocks out of my way. Then that absolute tank came charging at me.
They go by sound and smell, and anything unfamiliar startles them.
Yeah, would have been nice if someone told me that this morning. So how do we get a spooked 4-ton brick back inside?
Well, not by running away. It's evening, so she's likely to be hungry. I've got a plan, but we'll have to call for help and be a bit brave.
Hey, I don't do brave. I do take it easy and live. Man, this looked way easier in that video game.
Nearly there. Nearly there.
Whew. Great work, Scott. You really helped save everyone's hides here, including our big little runaway.
It certainly wasn't easy, but I can't stay and chat. I've got my passengers to bring home. See you, Matombo.
Well, at least there weren't any snakes.